So let's dive into this whole debate. Can a stun gun kill a human? It's like humanity's attempt at using a spark for self-defense, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. It's pretty intriguing how something meant to just disable can, under certain circumstances, be lethal.
Exactly. And while stun guns emit just 2 to 5 milliamps, which is like far below the fatal threshold, there's this twist.
Right.
They can still cause serious issues if used on vulnerable parts of the body or on individuals with pre-existing conditions.
That's the kicker, isn't it? I mean, if someone's health is already compromised, or if there's a mix with substances like alcohol or drugs, the same zap can be a lot more dangerous.
Yeah, precisely. It's not like it turns into a death machine every time you press it, but there have been over 100 deaths linked to taser use in law enforcement. And we got to remember, tasers and stun guns aren't exactly the same, though a lot of people conflate them.
Yeah, definitely. Right. And the details are fascinating. When aimed at the chest, for instance, the electrical shock can trigger cardiac arrest, especially if the person's heart is already vulnerable.
Exactly, and police protocols emphasize avoiding the chest area precisely to sidestep that risk. It's like a matter of precision, really. Aim away from vital spots.
True, but I mean, does this mean that stun guns in the civilian market are safe then? Because from what I've heard, civilian devices haven't shown the same fatal outcomes.
Interesting point. Yeah, that's an important nuance. In civilian hands, they're designed to cause intense pain and muscle contractions without lasting damage. The fatalities we're talking about, those come mainly from taser incidents in law enforcement contexts where the shocks are more intense or repeated.
And it seems like the key factors for lethality are high voltage, prolonged or repeated exposure, and pre-existing conditions, right?
Absolutely. Plus, there's this component of excited delirium that sometimes shows up in coroner reports, making it tricky to pinpoint the exact cause of death after a shock.
I get that. But don't you think that relying on protocols, like proper training and safety guidelines, is a bit optimistic? I mean, human error doesn't always get sorted out on the spot.
That's a fair challenge. I mean, yes, protocols help, but at the end of the day, the potential for fatality still exists if things go wrong. It's a balance between disabling without crossing the line into lethal territory.
Yep, absolutely. So, if someone gets hit in the heart or head, that's a whole different scenario, isn't it? It turns like from a defensive tool into a potentially deadly one.
Exactly. And medical studies have even verified that shock-induced cardiac arrest, which isn't common but is definitely a risk, is real. It really underlines the responsibility of handling these devices carefully.
And in practical terms, it means aiming at less sensitive areas is paramount. It's kind of like, using a garden hose. If you aim right, you just get wet. But if you blast someone in the face, things can go really wrong.
Precisely. It's about control and precision. Plus, regular checks on the device to ensure it's functioning correctly are a must.
True. I also found it interesting that Michael Gravett, who's been in the business since 1986, mentioned that he's never known a civilian stun gun to kill anyone. It sounds like most fatalities are tied up with law enforcement usage, which comes with its own set of risks.
Right, and that really drives home the importance of using these tools responsibly. It's like when you have that kind of power at your fingertips, proper training and adherence to safety guidelines aren't just suggestions, they're necessities.
Yeah, absolutely. So, in summary, while stun guns are designed as non-lethal self-defense devices, the potential for fatality is very much situational. It all comes down to use, health, and technique.